my eyes moved down his wheelchair, I noticed that there isn't much of him there below the belt. He looks so out of place to me. He shouldn't be in that chair. He just doesn't look natural. Immediately, tears began to form in my eyes, and my heart aches for him and his family. And at the same time, I feel a sense of pride in him for accepting his sacrifice so stoically, and gratitude that he had the courage to serve something greater than himself. As the line of veterans move down the hallway, my colleagues leave their place and step out to shake their hands as they pass, give hugs to them and their families, and to thank them all. Up and down the corridor, there are very few dry eyes. Only those most disciplined old soldiers are able to keep the tears from running down their cheeks. But you know what they are thinking by the look on their face. We all felt the same thing. Some heroes, like the young boy above, are bound to their wheelchairs today, but likely not forever. Many without legs are pushing themselves down the hallway, special gloves on their hands with sleek, light wheelchairs, wanting to be as self-sufficient and independent as possible. In true military form, I can relate to that. Others are walking on their own with canes or crutches for support. From their gait, you can tell that there are artificial legs underneath those pants. Some of these heroes are still at Walter Reed receiving therapy and learning to use some of the new legs. Some have been home for a while. You can tell the difference between them by their ability to walk comfortably. One veteran had shorts on and two aluminum styled legs, clearly visible. They were something out of Star Wars movie. Amazing. And he was moving despite the fact I'm sorry. That they were something out of Star Wars movie. Amazing. And he was moving almost as if he had them his whole life. I saw several young girls in the group, despite the fact that I just spent 3 years of my life mentoring and training some of the most amazing young female leaders in my ROTC program. I never pictured them this way. One girl was in her camouflage uniform, doing her best not to be noticed. But if you watched her closely, you could notice a slight limp in her walk and a boot that did not bend naturally. In the Army, we use the term Ranger Buddy. During risky training or actual combat operations, your Ranger Buddy is the soldier to your left or right that you pair up with, the one who watches your back while you watch his or hers. Your Ranger Buddy is supposed to keep you safe, help you if you become injured, and never leave you behind. One older soldier had his Ranger Buddy with him as he walked down the corridor. The soldier had a large woven cord around his shoulder and under his arm. His other arm, the other end was attached to his Ranger Buddy. Short, blonde, big smile on his face, strutting proudly along with his soldier. The only sound I could hear was the click of his toenails as his four legs led his soldier through the crowd. The soldier's face was scarred, one eye no longer useful, the other only slightly, depending solely on his partial vision and his Ranger Buddy to lead the way and keep him safe. I watched the young hero in the group roll toward me. I swear he was not more than 12. His family was pushing his chair. He gripped the arm rest nervously. His pant legs were empty. He wasn't smiling. He gripped. In fact, he looked a little frightened, as if he was realizing for the first time the extent of the sacrifice he had made. One woman stepped out of the crowd and said something to him. He reached out his hand to share hers and found himself in a bear hug. His face lit up, a big smile planted there, along with some red cheeks, perhaps embarrassed by the heartfelt affection from a stranger. I watched him as he passed me, and others stepped out to thank him or shake his hand. Some semblance of a smile stayed on his face as long as I could see him. A big difference. A few wounded warriors walked under their own power, nothing noticeably different about them, their physical wounds hidden. But the most difficult heroes to watch go past were those with blank faces. I think there's a gremlin looking over my shoulder here. Sometimes they were also missing a limb, but often they had large scars on their heads, patchy hair in spots from multiple surgeries, no doubt. You could tell that some part of them was lost, likely due to traumatic brain injury. It was difficult to know how much of who they are was still there or might return. And then there were the families, parents, siblings, wives, children, you could see the deep appreciation for our greetings on the faces of those parents. But you could also see their pain for what their children had been through and the challenges that they must overcome in the future. I'm sure their pride was there, but it wasn't easily detectable, overshadowed by their love, compassion, and worry. No doubt. The most striking image for me, having been a military leader for 25 plus years, was the responsibility to care for my soldiers and their families, was the occasional veteran there with his young wife and children, young. The first thought that popped into my head when I saw them was, how will they be able to survive now? Do they have enough education or skills to secure a career that they can live on? Dad has lost both his legs. His career options are much more limited than most veterans seeking employment, and our veterans' employment numbers are the highest in the country. What will he do? Do they receive enough benefits from the government to fill the gaps? As these thoughts were rolling around in my head, I couldn't help but think that she might be having the same thoughts. Amazing families, partners, children, brought together in a time of need. You could feel the burden as they could for their hero. It was an amazing welcome for these incredible heroes. Young Americans, I am so proud of them all. I admire their courage, their inner strength, and their will to drive on. We owe them. They deserve our thanks, our admiration, and more importantly, our support whenever and however we can provide it. To my family, friends, brothers, and sisters in arms, I ask you to put down your task list. Cancel your club meeting, reschedule that dinner with friends for some later time. I ask you to take a little of your time, leave the small stuff sweating behind, and give something of yourself to your local heroes. World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Desert Storm, our newest generation of heroes. It doesn't matter which. They are in need for one reason or another. The reason doesn't matter. Find them, use your local veterans organizations, VA hospitals, or other resources to find a veteran who is in need and help him or her. You don't have to give them money. In fact, it's better if you don't. Do something for them that requires your time, energy, and focus. Let them know that they are valuable and important person, and that you recognize and appreciate the courage that they have demonstrated and the sacrifices that they have made for you. Take time. Take them to the grocery store. Cut their grass. Make some small house repairs. Fix their car. Help them find a job. Anything that they may have trouble doing or can't do well for themselves. If you ask them how you can help, I'm sure they will tell you. I ask you to make a difference. Be a positive force in their lives. I try not to delve too deeply into politics and the government of our nation because of the frustration it causes me. But I will say this, it feels to me as if our elected officials and therefore our government systems are not all able to provide the help and support that we need. Help each other for now. Find yourself a ranger buddy. Give something of yourself to a veteran today. Don't be afraid if it becomes a habit. That is a good thing for both of you. Get some perspective. Thank you for your patience.